Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to segment 3 of our build series on the Runge RS. So we've shaped out the front fender here. I did the right half in the last video. I actually jumped ahead a little bit and did start shaping this inner portion. We will cover that, but right now, the area that I want to get done before I shape any more of the fenders is this barrel side. And so that'll require us to take the windshield off. We will remove the canopy as well. And then we will show you how we form the barrel side. We don't have a slip roll that's big enough to form this, so we form it by hand, by foot. You'll see why we have so many rugs in the shop. They're not just for looks. So we're excited to show you guys how we do this section. Let's get right to it. All right, so we've got the canopy removed, and I'm going to have our cameraman, who has helped produce these newest YouTube videos, come and help me put some shape into this panel. So Alex, come on out. What we're going to do is take a look at this just to double check. You know, typically these panels will have a good side. Sometimes that's better than the other. So we're going to have this side be our outer skin. And basically, we're just going to use the rug that we have on the floor. I've got it cleaned off so there's no chunks of metal or rocks or anything that would damage our piece. And this is how I shape these things. Okay, so we've got our initial radius put in this. It's not as tight as the final radius, but it gets us started and will allow me then to fit it to the buck. So now what I want to do, I want to put about a 2.5 inch fold at the bottom edge where this will mount to the belly pan of the car. And because I don't have a 6 foot or an 8 foot brake to just simply fold that, I kind of have to get creative. And this is actually a technique that comes in really handy. You can use the English wheel for braking or for folding your material. So I'll first lay out my line, and then I'll put this in the English wheel. So I'll use both the upper flat anvil and a lower flat anvil and wheel this through, just putting slight pressure on it, and it'll put a fold along the bottom edge. I've already marked out the angle that I need to achieve for that bottom fold, so I'll just keep this handy to check my work. Set it right there, and then we will go ahead. Let's wipe this off first, since we were walking on it a little bit of dust in there. Don't want that getting up on our anvils on the English wheel. So I'm going to take and tip right against the edge of that wheel, the upper anvil. Then I'll just have to come back and from the other side. Whew. That's one way to use the English wheel without putting compound curve, just using it as a brake. And we'll check how that angle looks. I'm not quite far enough. Now that I have a nice line in it and I can see where I need to be, I can put this in. Actually, I'll have gravity on my side this time. It won't be such a struggle, and we'll kind of let this thing hang, and and we should be able to get the rest of this fold no problemo. There we go. Now I think we got our angle. Ho, 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 ho. It's perfect. I think we'll have to get some longer clamps. Let's see, let's get some clamps out first. All right, so I'm gonna get this in place, and I'll start with the middle one here. We gotta make sure that your edge is just, yep, so it lies in between like that. So as I'm attaching this side panel, I don't know exactly where it needs to be trimmed, so I'm kind of trimming it and fitting it as I go. So what I'm running into now is this longitudinal rib down the center of the fender needs to be trimmed out. So I need to just notch this to fit around that rib. Trying to trim this without taking any excess off. I want as much material left, because once you start fitting the fenders, you don't want to have a huge hole because you've taken too much off. And that's why I'm kind of just taking this step by step. This rear one is really tough to determine exactly what needs to be trimmed out, just because of the nature of how it flows up in here. This spot that I'm trimming out is inside the fender. It's an area that is covered by the fender itself. So it actually all ends up getting cut out eventually, but I don't want to jump that far ahead until I know for certain right where everything lands. So that feels like a lot of progress, and I designed it that way so that the side, that barrel side, is kind of a quick and simple design. When the fenders come into it is where it does get a bit more complicated. Let's just set a fender up there and kind of look at the side profile of it, see how it plays together. So I'm really happy with how this is laying in. Obviously this has got a bunch of excess on it yet, but you can see, I mean, it's pretty darn close to where it should be. It needs to just be shaped out a little bit more. But that's great for just starting off here. This is kind of the exciting part, because you can actually see the aluminum really, for me, brings it to life. And when you get in at the side profile here and look at it, you can start to see how it's going to shape out. But that'll get cut out, and then we'll shape the flanges, the recess for the door. So that is a quick look at how this barrel side is initially shaped. The next steps will be to cut the door opening, and then make the recessed flanges for the door skin itself. But that, at least for me, that kind of gives me a guide on where the front and rear inner fenders are going to land. And that's the reason that I wanted to jump on and get this part installed. So next video, we will make the inner front and rear fender. And the unique thing about shaping those is they have a reverse curve, which is typically one of the more complicated things to do in metal shaping. So thanks again, you guys, for watching. Share the video, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.